Welcome back, Soul Fam, to the third episode of the movie review of The Tales from the Dark Side. But just as a quick recap, this little boy right here, who I call Little Timmy, he is in the process of reading some stories to this lady right here, who is actually intending to cook him. Now, before we dive into this story, if you're liking these videos, don't forget to like, comment, and follow for more. So the next story that Timmy is getting ready to tell is going to be The Tale of the Black Cat. Now, this story starts out with this older, rich YT man, and he actually is hiring a hitman to take out this black cat. And you may be like, now what did the cat do? Well, let me tell you, this cat right here is actually a serial unaliver. And in this movie, this cat will unalive 5 people. So in this scene, the rich old guy is telling the hitman that this cat just kind of showed up and wouldn't go away. And they did everything that they could to get rid of this cat, but it just kept coming back. And then he goes on to tell the hitman that he is the survivor out of the 4 people that stayed in the house. And then he tells the hitman how much he hated the cat and how he would warn his sisters, because his sisters took the cat in. He warned them to not bring in this cat because the cat was bad luck. But they should have listened, because this cat right here unalived everyone, including the hitman. And we'll get into that story here shortly. So the old man goes on to tell the stories of all the people that the cat has unalived. So the first victim was one of his sisters. He actually had 2 sisters, and the cat pushed her down the stairs. And then the old man goes on to say that everybody that was unalived, they passed away at 12 a.m. So the second victim was his other sister, and this cat actually jumped on her face, tightened itself around her face, and suffocated her. But it didn't stop there. The cat's third victim was the butler, or the person who took care of the grounds. And he passed away in a car accident because he was taking the cat to the vet for the cat to be put down. But the cat got out somehow and caused him to crash. And then he goes on to say how he feels like the cat was sent here to punish him, because the reason why his family is rich is because they actually put out a drug on the market that was getting prescribed to thousands of people. But the cat came in regards to getting reparations for cats, because while they were testing this drug, they were actually testing it on cats. And over a 4-year time span, they unalived and tested over 5,000 cats. So he asked the hitman if he was willing to take the job. And the hitman accepted. And he tried to strangle the cat while the cat was in his lap. But the cat is very intuitive and was aware of everything that's going on. And he also had a case of F around and find out, because this cat right here scratched his butt up. So the old man eventually left the hitman and the cat to themselves. And he went out and waited for the hitman to do what he needed to do. But the hitman failed horribly trying to unalive this cat. And like I said earlier, at 12 o'clock, the cat unalives people at 12 a.m. So when the clock strikes 12, and there was like a cuckoo type of clock, and the cat knew that it was time to unalive. So whoever you were, and that's what kind of happened with the hitman here, because he ultimately met his demise because this cat unalived him by, I'm just going to have to say, going down his throat. So the old man came home and he found the hitman on the floor unalived. And the clock struck 12 because the clock got broke somehow, and then it started working again and it struck 12. So the cat jumped on his lap and pretty much scared him so bad that he had a heart attack. And that's how the story ends, with the cat licking and cleaning itself. So you already know that this story is getting kind of long. So join me for the last and final video as we tap into the last story, which is going to be the story of the gargoyle. Welcome back, Soul Fam, to the last and final episode of the movie review of The Tales from the Dark Side. And don't forget, if you're liking these videos, don't forget to like, comment, and follow for more. Now, this is when Timmy tells his last and final story and, hopes that he can save his life. And this is going to be the story of the gargoyle. So in this story here, Preston right here, he's actually, I believe he's an artist or something like that, but he's just having a real hard time making it. And one night he's at this bar and he sees this creature, or this gargoyle, who is actually a female, but we'll tap into that here in a minute. He sees her unalive, his friend. And that's when this gargoyle right here makes Preston promise that he never tells anybody what he saw or what he heard. And terrified, Preston, first he was reluctant. He was like, "Are you kidding me? How can I not tell people what I saw?" But she scratched his chest, and because she actually took off the person's head that, he's seen her unalive. But she scratched his chest, and then he was like, "All right, I will never tell." Now, like I told you, this movie traumatized me when I was a kid. But once he's released and he runs, he bumps into this beautiful woman here, who is actually the gargoyle. So they chatted up, they have some conversation. He tries to ask her if she wants to come back to his place because it's not safe on the street out there. And she's like, I swear somebody was following me, and he still didn't tell her what he saw. So they went back to his place, and the whole time, she is being kind of seductive because she is on a mission. And I'm going to say that she is, I would say, in heat, okay? So she wants to get her eggs fertilized. But while she's there, she tries to tempt him to tell her what he saw. And this whole time, Preston never knew that he was talking to the creature that he seen unalive his friend, which is the gargoyle. So they wind up hitting it off, and they stay together for 10 years. They wind up living together, and they actually had some kids. I want to say that they were twins, or they were Irish twins. So I forgot to tell you that her name is actually Carola, and 10 years goes by, and they fall even deeper in love, and he feels like it's time for him to open up to her because he feels like he can trust her, and he doesn't want to hold anything back from his wife. And this is when he tells her what he saw that frightful night. And then she flips, or she transforms. So this is going to be the scene when she says, you promised you never tell. And then she starts to transform back into the gargoyle, and she starts pretty much busting out the seams. Okay, her skin started splitting and everything. But not only that, the kids also transformed into gargoyles. So this is when Carola, aka the gargoyle, she tells him that he broke his promise and he didn't follow through. So they had to, complete the contract pretty much, and she had to unalive him. And she told him that she wished she didn't have to do that because she loved him, right? She cared for him, and they had they had children together, okay? But you know what? The kids had to turn into gargoyles as well. So she ends up unaliving Preston here and taking the kids and flying off. But poor little Timmy's time was up, and this lady was ready to cook. So somehow, I don't know how he did it, but he had a plan. And somehow he manipulated her, he tricked her, and he pushed her into the oven so she could start baking. And then the movie ends with Timmy escaping. Now, was that movie review wild or what? And the next video that's going to be coming, and it's going to be a short video, is when we tap into the hoodoo tarot of the Seven of Knives, which is going to be the Seven of Swords in the traditional tarot. And the reason why I chose this one, because it's about lies, manipulations, and deception. And that was all of the stories that were going on that little Timmy was telling. And you see the knives, and she's cooking and stuff like that and smiling, just like the woman did in that movie. But if you're liking these videos, don't forget to like, comment, and follow for more.